My wife shouted at dinner, "Your family ruined my life. I want out." I calmly said, "All right." Then I called someone in front of everyone. When the voice on the other end said, "Is this about the papers?" Her smile disappeared. I'm Nathan, 35, and I'd been married to Olivia for 7 years. We met in our mid-20s, dated for 2 years, had what I thought was a decent marriage. We had our issues like any couple, but nothing I considered catastrophic. Looking back, I was willfully blind to a lot of warning signs. The blow-up happened at my parents' house during Sunday dinner 3 weeks ago. This was a monthly tradition. My parents, my sister and her husband, me and Olivia, sometimes my brother if he was in town. Just family gathering over pot roast and small talk. Olivia had been tense all day. Short answers, cold shoulder, the usual passive-aggressive signals I'd learned to recognize over 7 years. I'd asked her multiple times what was wrong. Each time she said nothing in that tone that meant everything. We were halfway through dinner when my mom mentioned that she'd run into Olivia's college roommate at the grocery store. "Sarah said to tell you hello. She looked wonderful, said she just bought a house in Portland." Something in Olivia's expression shifted. "Of course she did." Sarah always lands on her feet. "She asked about you," my mom continued, oblivious to the edge in Olivia's voice. "Seemed surprised when I said you were still working at the clinic. I told her you loved your job." "Did you?" Not a question. A statement, flat and cold. My dad, sensing tension, tried to change the subject. "How about those Mariners? Think they have a shot this year?" But Olivia wasn't done. She set down her fork with deliberate precision. "You know what Sarah's really doing in Portland? She's a senior partner at a law firm, making 3 times what I make, living in a house she bought herself, not renting an apartment because her husband's student loans eat half our income." "Olivia?" I said quietly. "Not now." "Why not now?" "When is a good time, Nathan? When is it okay to talk about how I gave up everything for this family?" My mom looked stricken. "Honey, I didn't mean—" "You never mean anything, do you?" Olivia turned to her. "None of you ever mean it. But here I am, 33 years old, working a job I hate, because we can't afford for me to go back to school. Living in a city I never wanted to live in because Nathan needed to be close to his precious family. Watching all my friends move on with their lives while I'm stuck. That's not fair," I said. "We made decisions together." "Did we? Or did I just go along with what you wanted because that's what good wives do?" My sister exchanged a look with her husband. My dad cleared his throat uncomfortably. The dinner table had gone completely silent except for Olivia's voice, which was getting louder. 7 years, she continued. 7 years of putting everyone else first. Your family, your needs, your career. What about mine? What about what I wanted? "You could have said something," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "At any point in 7 years you could have told me you were unhappy." "I did." "You just never listened. You were too busy being the perfect son, the perfect brother, Mr. Family Man who can't possibly move more than 20 minutes from mommy and daddy." My mother actually flinched at that. "That's enough," my father said firmly. "Olivia, I understand you're upset, but this isn't the place. Your family ruined my life." She stood up abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. "I want out." The words hung in the air. My mother started crying quietly. My sister looked horrified, and I felt this strange calm settle over me. "All right," I said. Olivia blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "What?" "You want out. All right. I'm not going to fight you on it." "You're not going to—" She seemed thrown off. "That's it? That's all you have to say?" "What do you want me to say?" "You just told my entire family that they ruined your life. You want a divorce. I'm not going to beg you to stay." Something flickered across her face. Not relief. Something closer to disappointment, maybe. Like she'd been expecting more of a fight. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd had saved for 3 months, put it on speaker so everyone could hear. Nathan? The voice belonged to Robert Chen, the divorce attorney I'd consulted back in August. Is this about the papers? Olivia's face went white. Her smile, there'd been this small, triumphant smile on her face when she'd said she wanted out, disappeared completely. Yes, I said calmly. I need you to file them tomorrow morning. Standard terms we discussed. I can have them ready by noon, Robert said. Should I send them to the address on file? That works? Thank you. I hung up. The silence at the dinner table was deafening. What papers? Olivia's voice was barely above a whisper. Divorce papers. I had them drawn up 3 months ago. You... what? You've been unhappy for a long time, Olivia. I'm not stupid. I've seen the way you look at our life, at me, at my family. I've heard the comments, felt the resentment. So I prepared. You prepared? You prepared to divorce me and didn't say anything? Kind of like how you've been unhappy for 7 years and didn't say anything? My mother wiped her eyes. Nathan, maybe you two should talk about this privately. No, Olivia said, still staring at me. No, I want to know. You had divorce papers drawn up and were just waiting? For what? For me to finally snap? I was waiting to see if you'd actually do something about your unhappiness. Get therapy, have an honest conversation with me, anything, but you didn't. You just let it build until you exploded at a family dinner. So you were planning to leave me? I was planning for you to leave me. Which, congratulations, you just did. Update 1. The dinner ended shortly after that. My parents didn't know what to say. My sister hugged me on the way out and whispered, "Call me later." Olivia and I drove home in complete silence. The second we walked into our apartment, she started in. You had no right to ambush me like that. In front of your entire family. I ambushed you? You're the one who stood up at dinner and announced you wanted out. That's different. I was emotional. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. You've meant it for a while. You just finally said it out loud. She sat down on the couch, head in her hands. I don't understand. When did you talk to a lawyer? Why didn't I know? 3 months ago. You didn't know because I didn't tell you, same way you didn't tell me about the job interview in Seattle. Her head snapped up. How do you know about that? Your email was open on the laptop. I saw the confirmation. Senior position at a clinic there, interview scheduled for next month. Were you planning to tell me? Or were you just going to accept the job and present it as a done deal? I was exploring options. You were planning an exit strategy, which honestly, I respect more than the passive-aggressive misery you've been broadcasting for months. She stood up, pacing. This is insane. We can't just get divorced because I had one outburst. It wasn't one outburst. It was 7 years of small cuts. Every comment about how we couldn't move because of my family. Every sigh when we made plans with my parents. Every time you made it clear you were sacrificing yourself for me. I was sacrificing. I gave up grad school because we couldn't afford it with your loans. I took a job I hate because it was stable. I live in this city when all my friends are in other states. And whose choice was that? Because I remember offering to move after my loans were paid off. You said you wanted to stay because you liked your job. That was 4 years ago. I was trying to be supportive. No, you were building resentment, and then using it as ammunition every time you wanted to win an argument. She sank back onto the couch. So what now? You file papers and we're done? That's generally how divorce works. Just like that. 7 years, gone. The 7 years were gone long before tonight, Olivia. Tonight was just making it official. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. I never wanted it to end like this. Then you shouldn't have ended it at a family dinner. Update 2. Robert filed the papers Monday morning. Olivia was served at work Tuesday afternoon. She called me 17 times. I didn't answer. She came home Tuesday night and found I'd moved into our guest room. "We need to talk about this," she said through the closed door. "Talk to my lawyer." "Nathan, please. This is crazy. We can work this out." "You said you wanted out." "I'm giving you out." "I was angry. I didn't mean..." People say things they don't mean when they're angry. I opened the door. "Do you love me?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "Do you like our life together?" I pressed. Another hesitation. "Do you want to be married to me?" "I don't know," she finally said. "I'm confused." "I've been confused for a long time." "Then this is the right thing to do. You need space to figure out what you actually want, and I need to stop being married to someone who resents me." "I don't resent you." "Yes, you do. Maybe not all the time, but enough that it poisoned everything else." She cried. I'd seen Olivia cry before, but this was different. Not angry tears or frustrated tears. These were scared tears, the kind that come when you realize you've made a mistake you can't take back. "What if I don't want this?" she asked. "You already made that choice when you said you wanted out." "But I didn't think you'd actually..." "What? Leave you? Fight for you? Beg you to stay?" I shook my head. "I'm too tired for that. I've spent 7 years trying to make you happy while you've spent 7 years cataloging everything wrong with our life. I'm done." Wednesday morning, my sister called. "Mom's a mess." She thinks it's her fault. "It's not." "I know, but Olivia really did a number on her with that comment about ruining her life." "Mom didn't ruin anything." "Olivia made her choices. She just wants someone else to blame for them." "Are you okay?" "I will be." Thursday, I came home from work to find Olivia had packed 2 suitcases and was loading them into her car. "Where are you going?" "My sister's place. In Seattle. I can't stay here right now." "Convenient that you're going to Seattle." "Close to that job interview." She looked guilty. "The interview's next week. I'm still going." "I figured you would..." "Nathan, She stopped, seeming to struggle with what to say. "I'm sorry. For what I said at dinner. For how I handled everything. You didn't deserve that." "No, I didn't." "Do you hate me?" "No. I'm just disappointed in both of us. In how long we let this go on when it clearly wasn't working." She loaded the last suitcase. "If I get the job, I'll probably stay in Seattle." "That's probably for the best." "So this is really it?" "This was really it, the moment you stood up at my parents' table." She drove away. I watched from the window until her car disappeared around the corner. Update 3. The divorce moved quickly. No kids, no house, just an apartment lease and some shared possessions to divide. Olivia hired a lawyer after initially trying to handle it herself. Her lawyer called Robert and apparently suggested we try mediation before proceeding. We met in Robert's office on a Tuesday afternoon. Olivia looked different. Hair cut shorter, new clothes, like she was already transforming into her post-marriage self. "Nathan, my client would like to discuss possible reconciliation," her lawyer started. I looked at Olivia. "Is that what you want?" "I think we ended things too hastily. That maybe we should try counseling." "Why?" "Because we've been together for 9 years. Because that means something." "It meant something," I corrected. "Past tense. You told me, my family, and everyone at that table that we ruined your life, that you wanted out. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for." I was angry. "You were honest." "Maybe for the first time in years." Her lawyer interjected. "My client believes that with proper communication and therapy..." "Your client had 7 years to communicate. She chose a public detonation instead." Olivia leaned forward. "Nathan, please. I know I hurt you. I hurt your family. I said terrible things, but don't people deserve second chances?" "Some people do." Some mistakes deserve second chances. But this wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern of behavior that culminated in you finally saying what you'd been thinking for years. So you're just going to throw away everything we built? You already threw it away when you decided I was the reason you weren't happy. When you decided my family was the problem instead of looking at your own choices. The mediation lasted another hour, but got nowhere. By the end, even Olivia's lawyer seemed resigned to the divorce moving forward. As we were leaving, Olivia caught my arm in the parking lot. Did you ever love me? Or was this all just going through the motions for you too? I loved you enough to stay for 7 years, even when you clearly didn't want to be there. I loved you enough to try to make you happy, even when nothing I did was enough. And I loved you enough to prepare for the day you'd finally be honest about wanting out. That's not love, that's giving up. No, staying in a marriage where your partner resents you, that's giving up. This is having enough self-respect to walk away. Final update. It's been 2 months since the dinner. The divorce was finalized last week. Olivia got the job in Seattle and moved there permanently. We divided our possessions fairly. She took most of the furniture since I didn't need much. I kept the savings since I'd contributed more to it anyway. My parents are doing better. My mom stopped blaming herself after several conversations where I explained that Olivia's unhappiness was never about them. My sister and I are closer now. Having a shared crisis will do that. I ran into Olivia's former colleague last week. She mentioned that Olivia had been telling people I'd blindsided her with the divorce, that she'd had no warning. Funny how memory works. The truth is, I did have the papers drawn up 3 months before that dinner. I'd seen Olivia pulling away, making plans that didn't include me, building a life in her head that I wasn't part of. The lawyer consultation was my insurance policy. I didn't want to use it, but I wasn't going to be caught off guard either. Was I wrong to prepare for the worst? Maybe. But when she stood up at my parents' table and said she wanted out, I was ready. And that readiness probably saved me months of fighting, begging, or false reconciliation attempts. Some people have said I should have fought harder for the marriage, that I gave up too easily. But here's what they don't understand. I'd been fighting for 7 years. Fighting against her resentment, her passive aggression, her slow withdrawal. That dinner was just the final acknowledgement of what we both already knew. The apartment feels emptier now, but not in a bad way. More like there's room to breathe. I'm not walking on eggshells wondering what's going to set her off. Not trying to manage her unhappiness or fix problems she wouldn't acknowledge existed. My brother asked me last week if I regretted the way I handled things. The phone call at dinner, the immediate filing, all of it. No, I said. She wanted out. I gave her out. Clean and quick. You don't think you should have at least tried counseling? You can't counsel someone into wanting to be married. And she didn't want to be married. She just wanted to not be blamed for the marriage ending. That's what the reconciliation attempt was really about. Not wanting to work on our relationship, but wanting to be able to say she tried. Wanting to shift blame onto me for refusing to give her another chance. I'm not interested in being the villain in her story just because I refused to play my assigned role in the narrative she'd written. Olivia texted me yesterday. Just a simple, I hope you're happy now. I didn't respond, but if I had, I would have said, I'm not happy yet, but I'm on my way there. And that's more than I could have said 2 months ago. The divorce lawyer, Robert, called me this morning for a final check-in, asked how I was adjusting. Better than expected, I told him. Turns out ending something that's been dying for years is more relief than grief. That's usually how it goes, he said. The grief comes earlier, when you realize it's not working. By the time you actually file, you've already done most of the mourning. He's right. I'd been mourning my marriage for months before that dinner. Olivia just finally gave me permission to stop. Edit. People keep asking why I didn't try to save the marriage. Simple answer. There was nothing left to save. The woman who said she wanted out at that dinner wasn't having a momentary breakdown. She was finally telling the truth. Edit 2. For those wondering about the specifics of the settlement, no alimony. We both have jobs and made similar incomes. Split assets 50-50 except savings, which was roughly 70-30 my contribution. She kept furniture and I kept the car. Clean break. Edit 3. Yes, my family has forgiven her for the outburst. My mom even sent her a care package when she moved to Seattle. Because that's who they are. The people she claimed ruined her life spent years trying to make her feel welcome and loved. Her inability to accept that love isn't their fault.